The first ray of sunlight shyly crept through the empty stands of the bullring, painting the disturbed sand a pale orange. The air smelled of damp earth and the promise of a heat that would take its time. This solitude felt different. I adjusted the fine dark silk of my blouse, feeling the morning chill on my skin. It wasn't fear, but that familiar electricity that precedes the game. A dangerous game, yes, but was there any worth playing that wasn't? He would arrive soon. Javier. His punctuality was as legendary as his obsession with control, or so the gossips said. And I enjoyed disrupting others' control, especially his. It was almost a personal hobby. My heels echoed briefly in the stony silence as I took a few steps towards the center of the ring. The sand, untouched by recent work, waited. Like me, though my wait was for something more than a simple transaction of stolen jewels. A sigh escaped me, visible in the cold air. Not from nervousness, but anticipation. Every encounter with Javier was a dance on the edge of the abyss, a tense melody where each note could be the last. And I loved that music. Then, his silhouette was framed in one of the crew gates. Tall, imposing even in the dim light. Javier, the man who collected diamonds and, perhaps, broken hearts. Mine, for now, still beat with an intact rebellion. He advanced with that studied calm that so characterized him, as if the sand were the carpet of his luxury jewelry store. His dark eyes, accustomed to scrutinizing the purity of gems, fixed on me. Looking for flaws, I suppose. Isabella, his voice, deep and with a hint of irony, broke the silence. It wasn't a greeting, but a statement. As if saying, here you are, elusive creature, right where I expected you. Or where he wished I would be. Javier, I replied, keeping my tone light, almost playful. It's always a pleasure to meet you in such discreet places. Were you afraid your regular clients would be scandalized if they saw us having coffee in your elegant shop? A fleeting smile, barely a twitch of his well-defined lips. Discretion has its charm, don't you think? Especially when handling objects of such value. His gaze flickered down for an instant to my now empty hands. Ah, the diamond. The perfect excuse for this clandestine dawn. The Black Hope, as the press had dubbed it. An exquisite piece, certainly. But for me, it was just a key. A key to open this door between us. Value is such a relative word, Javier, I murmured, taking a step closer, subtly invading his personal space. Some value cold stones. Others, other things. The almost imperceptible warmth of his body reached me. He didn't flinch. He never did. I suppose you have the object of our meeting. His voice was silk and steel. A combination that, admittedly, I had always found dangerously attractive. Like a caress with an edge. I took a small velvet case from my purse. Not the original, of course. Too ostentatious. This one was discreet, like our rendezvous. I held it between us, an offering or a provocation. Perhaps both. Do you want it back badly enough to come all the way here, to this sanctuary of sand and blood? I asked, tilting my head. I wanted to see his reaction, to read beyond his imperturbable jeweler's mask. His dark eyes glinted for an instant. Anger? Or was it something more, something I recognized from our previous negotiations? You know I do, Isabella. It's a unique piece, and you know that too. Unique, I repeated, savoring the word. Like these moments, right? Unrepeatable, loaded with possibilities. I opened the case slowly, revealing the dark sparkle of the diamond in the dawn light. It was magnificent, no doubt. Javier's breathing hitched minimally. A professional to the core, but even he felt the pull of pure beauty. Or perhaps, the pull of retrieving it from my hands. The trophy. It's him, he affirmed, more to himself than to me. His hand moved instinctively but stopped halfway. Control, always control. But I had seen the desire in that aborted gesture. Impressive, isn't it? I said, my voice a whisper. Almost as much as the risk you took in losing it. A direct jab. I knew about his supposedly infallible security systems. My success was his small private humiliation. He smiled, for real this time, though tinged with bitterness. You always find a way to remind me of my oversights, Isabella. It's part of your charm, I suppose. Or your audacity. Audacity and charm often go hand in hand, dear Javier. Like risk and reward. I closed the case with a soft click. The sound seemed to amplify in the stillness of the bullring. The game of glances continued. What's your price this time? He asked, straight to the point. Always business, even when the air crackled with something more. Something we both felt but neither named. Not yet. I laughed softly. Money? You think I staged all this theater for a few figures in a Swiss account? You're a brilliant businessman, Javier, but sometimes your imagination falls short. His eyebrows arched slightly. Enlighten me then, Isabella. What does Europe's most elusive thief seek in an empty bullring at dawn, besides my gratitude? His irony was a well-sharpened weapon. Perhaps I am looking for something money can't buy, I replied, my voice becoming more intimate. Something you lost long ago, or never dared to have. Perhaps I am looking for a confession, Javier. Silence settled again, denser this time. I could hear my own heartbeat, or perhaps it was his. The mention of a confession had struck a raw nerve. I knew it. I don't know what you're talking about, he finally said, but his voice lacked its usual conviction. His eyes avoided mine for an instant, an almost imperceptible gesture to anyone else. But not to me. Oh, I think you do, I insisted, taking another step, closing the distance until I could almost feel the warmth of his breath. I am talking about that night in Monte Carlo, Javier. 5 years ago. Do you remember it? His jaw tensed. Monte Carlo. The word hung between us, laden with memories. A night of casino, champagne, and something more. Something that had been left unfinished, like an outstanding debt. It was a business night, he replied, but the coldness in his tone didn't fool me. There was a crack in his armor, and I was ready to explore it thoroughly. With the delicacy of an expert. Business that ended in your suite, overlooking the Mediterranean, I pointed out, my voice barely a murmur laden with insinuation. And with promises that the dawn wind carried away. Or were they lies? Javier took a step back, as if my words had physically struck him. That has nothing to do with this. His face, usually so composed, showed raw emotion for the first time. Guilt? Regret? No? Are you sure? I advanced again, regaining the lost ground. I think it has everything to do with it, Javier. This diamond is just the excuse to finish a pending conversation. To settle a score. His gaze hardened. There's nothing to settle between us, Isabella. You robbed me, and now I want to recover what's mine. It's simple. But his body said otherwise. The tension was almost palpable. Simple? I smiled. Nothing between us has ever been simple, Javier. And you know it. That night, you took something from me. Something more valuable than any diamond. And now I've taken something of yours. Are you referring to your innocence? His voice was a hoarse whisper, laden with an emotion I couldn't decipher. Disdain? Or perhaps an echo of his own loss? Innocence is a strong word for someone like me, I admitted. Let's say you took my trust. And you shattered it into 1,000 pieces, like a careless jeweler with a fragile gem. Do you remember how you left me that morning? The memory seemed to pain him. He looked away at the sand, as if searching for answers in the furrows of the ring. It was complicated, Isabella. I had responsibilities. The usual excuse. The one married men use. Responsibilities? I moved closer until our bodies almost brushed. Or fear? Fear of what you felt. Fear of what we could have been. My hand rose, almost brushing his cheek. He didn't pull away. His dark eyes locked onto mine, a mixture of torment and desire. You know nothing of my fears, Isabella. His warm breath caressed my face. Maybe I know more than you think, I whispered. I know this Iceman facade is just that, a facade. And I know that underneath, there's a fire you're desperately trying to extinguish. His hand rose and caught mine, just before it touched his skin. His fingers were strong, calloused from work, yet his grip was surprisingly gentle. A restrained caress. You're dangerous, Isabella, he said, his voice barely audible. You always have been, like a flame that attracts the moth, knowing it will burn. Was it a warning or an invitation? And you are the most fascinating moth I've ever known, Javier, I replied, intertwining my fingers with his. Always returning, despite the risk. What draws you so much to my fire? He didn't answer. He just looked at me, and in that gaze was a universe of unsaid emotions. The sun was beginning to rise higher, bathing the bullring in a golden light. Our time was running out. The diamond, he said, breaking the spell. His voice was softer now, almost resigned. Give it to me, Isabella. And tell me what you want in return. Anything. I released his hand and took out the case again. I opened it. The black diamond shone with a cold, seductive light. What I want, is for you to admit the truth, Javier. About Monte Carlo. About us. He sighed deeply. Isabella, it's been 5 years. I was married. I still am. I made a mistake. I was a coward. Is that what you wanted to hear? His voice was a torrent of bitterness. Partly, I admitted. But I also want to know if any of that was real for you. Or if I was just an exotic whim, another adventure in the life of a powerful man bored with his routine. Javier moved closer, taking the case from my hands. His fingers brushed mine, a fleeting but electric contact. He closed the case and put it in the inner pocket of his jacket. The diamond was no longer between us. It was real, Isabella, he said, his voice firm now, his eyes meeting mine without hesitation. Too real. That's why I ran. Because it scared me. You scared me. A confession, at last. Not the one I expected, perhaps, but one that stirred something within me. The old pain seemed to ease a little, replaced by a strange mixture of triumph and compassion. Fear is a poor advisor, Javier, I said softly. It makes you lose valuable things. Opportunities. Moments. Like the ones we lost, I thought, but didn't say it. He nodded slowly. I know. I've lived with that regret for 5 years. Every time I saw a black jewel, every time I heard your name in the news. So, why now, Javier? Why this confession here, in this solitary bullring? I wanted to understand his final game, if there was one. Or if this was, simply, the naked truth. Because I owed it to you, he said. And because, maybe I am tired of running. From myself. From you. His eyes sought mine, and this time there was a vulnerability that disarmed me. The air between us changed. The tension of hunter and prey, of thief and jeweler, dissipated, leaving something more fragile, more human. Something dangerously real. And now what, Javier? I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Do we go back to our lives as if this conversation never happened? As if this dawn were just a dream? He reached out a hand and, with almost imperceptible hesitation, caressed the scar above my eyebrow. A gesture so unexpected, so intimate, it made me hold my breath. Some dreams are too vivid to forget, Isabella, he said, his thumb tracing the line of my skin. And some scars are too beautiful not to admire. My heart skipped a beat. This wasn't the calculating Javier I knew. This was another man, one he had kept hidden for too long. And I, the thief, felt something valuable stir in my chest. "What does this mean, Javier?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. The bullring, once a battlefield, now seemed like an intimate nest under the increasingly bright sky. He lowered his hand, but his eyes didn't leave mine. "It means that, maybe there are second chances. Even for us. Or maybe it just means this story isn't over yet." A slow smile spread across my lips. "I like the sound of that, Javier. An unfinished story. It leaves room for improvisation." The game, it seemed, was taking a new turn. He smiled too, a genuine smile that lit up his face, erasing years of tension. "You've always been good at improvising, Isabella. It's one of your many qualities." The sun was already high. The shadows had shortened. The magic of dawn was fading, giving way to the harsh reality of day. But something had changed between us, irrevocably. "I must go," he said, reluctantly breaking eye contact. "I have matters to attend to." The word responsibilities hung in the air, but this time without its previous weight. "I know," I nodded. "Me too. My life as a fugitive and my plans awaited me. But for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the urge to disappear without a trace." "Will we meet again?" he asked, and there was a hope in his voice that surprised me. The great Javier, the inaccessible jeweler, asking about a future meeting. "The world is small for those who know where to look, Javier," I replied with an enigmatic smile. "And I've always been very good at finding things, or people." I let the promise hang in the air. He nodded, one last meaningful look, and then turned and walked towards the exit, his elegant figure silhouetted against the sunlight. He didn't look back. I was left alone again in the center of the ring. The sand, once tense, now seemed calm. The echo of his words, his confessions, resonated within me. A new game had begun. I touched my own scar, where his fingers had been. A genuine smile, without artifice, appeared on my face. Maybe, just maybe, some flames were worth fanning, regardless of the risk. I turned and began to walk towards the opposite exit, my steps firm on the golden sand. The sun warmed my back. The future was uncertain, yes, but for the first time in years, I didn't feel completely alone in it.